All right, we're continuing on in the personality chapter, and we're still in the psychoanalytic perspective, but we're going to introduce three people who came after Freud. Now, they're still psychoanalytic perspective believers, but what they've done is they've either taken parts of Freud's theories and continued them, or tweaked some of Freud's theories, or introduce some of their own. So we're going to see what happens in each one of these people. All right, so Alfred Adler, what his contribution to the psychoanalytic theory is the individual psychology theory. And so in this theory, he believes that everyone is unique. You are different. There's no two people that are exactly the same. And he also introduced this idea of the creative self. So what we do is we actually can create our own personal, narrative of who we are. And again, it's our interpretation of our experiences, but we get to control it. So it's not something that happens to us and we have no control over how it affects us. And he says, no, we do. We have control. All right. He also said that what we remember personality is how we think and act. In a specific way. And he said that what we do or what we think is actually trying to conquer inferiority. So what we do and what we say and what we think, we're trying to not feel inferior. So that's what's behind our personality and our behavior. And that he also said that if we do not succeed in this, that we have this thing called the inferiority complex. All right, Carl Jung, I absolutely love him. He was a world traveler. And so he was introduced to multiple cultures, no two cultures exactly alike. And so in that, he started picking up this understanding that every culture has the same themes. So ideas, like for instance, love, okay? Every culture has an idea of love. It has that theme of love. Now, it may look different for each culture, but we have that idea of love. And so he said that basically the collective unconscious is almost written in our DNA, that it's these things that we all experience just because we're humans. And so we're kind of born with this understanding. So it's worldwide and it's kind of a theme. So then he introduced the idea of archetypes. And what the archetypes are is they're examples of those themes. So for instance, let's say the collective unconscious is hero. Okay. And again, it may look different to different cultures, but in this culture, it might be represented by Superman, Captain America. Take your choice of whatever you consider a hero. All right, so collective unconscious is the idea and archetype is the representation. He also introduced this anima versus animus. And if you go back through history, you'll see that there are certain behaviors that are considered male. We still have them today, although the line is a little bit more blurry and it's more acceptable to not be exactly this way. But anything that was considered male is something that males do, not females. All right, and then we have the female, behavior. And again, this has changed throughout time, but females act this way. And so it was a very dividing line. Well, according to Jung, what he believed is that we each have both. So the anima are feminine qualities, things that we equate with being a female. That's anima. So let's say, nurturing, okay? But men have that as well. Okay, so he's saying both men and women have anima. And then the animus is the male. Okay, so let's say that male, we may attribute the word power to animus, to male. Well, you know what? Males have that, but so do females. And so this was his addition to Freud. All right, Karen Horney, make sure you say her name right. Every book that I've ever read, make sure that they put the phonetic spelling in there so that we say Karen Horney and not Karen Horney or Horney. So anyway, her focus was really on neuroses, anxieties, and primarily in children. And what she came away with was a couple of things. That children experience anxiety simply because of the unknown. So things that are scary to them are because they don't know what's going to happen. So the unfamiliar. All right, one of her biggest debates with Freud was the idea of penis envy. She absolutely discounted that, said it was ridiculous. But then she turned around and kind of did the same thing. She created womb envy. And what she says is that men envy the fact that they don't have a womb because they cannot become pregnant. They cannot hold that pregnancy for 9 months, give birth, nurse that child. And so men are angry or jealous of women because they can't do that. So in other words, men have to rely on women in order to have offspring. So they're both equally crazy, but that's okay. We get it. All right, so Karen Horney also investigated neuroses, you know, the anxiety that we feel. And she says what brings it about is interpersonal relationships. And so that was one of the breaks that she had with Freud. All right, guys, the next one we're going to hit is going to be the humanistic perspective.